Hello everybody, welcome back to Day-to-Day Chess. This is Sabina, and for today I will be going over another classical game between William Steinitz and Mongredien Augustus. This game was played in 1862 in London, and although I like so much going over the games by the classics, I think some of you might enjoy a little bit more me going over some of the games that are taking place currently. So I will be alternating between the classics and the current games. So hopefully that will be good for me to get more viewers in a way, of course, but also for everybody to keep on track with the new tournaments that are taking place these days and some interesting games that are being played because, of course, chess is evolving, chess is developing, it's getting more dynamic these days, so maybe that is the type of chess that a lot of people would like to watch more, so I'm going to be alternating them. Additionally, I am preparing some guest speakers to come and analyze with me or on their own specific games, so hopefully that will be a nice addition to the YouTube channel. Slowly, I'm picking up new things and trying to do as much as I can to promote chess in the chess world or for the people who are really interested in learning and improving. So let's start with this game. It was played in 1862 by William Steinitz. We have the Scandinavian, queen takes d5, queen d8, d4. This is very typical for nowadays as well. The Scandinavian people still play it with quite good results. One of the players who uses the Scandinavian a lot is Morozevich. So if you're thinking of playing this with black, maybe you want to check some of his games out. So d4, e6, knight f3. Now that there's no bishop g4 being able to pin the knight, we just developed the knight. Knight f6, bishop d3. As you can see on those times, really development was something they were doing all the time. They weren't spending time not developing. They understood the importance of development and they're just using that. Nowadays we see more crazy chess and people sometimes don't finish their development. b6. The idea is quite simple, developing the bishop in b7. And now, because black has not developed this knight from b8 yet to control the e5 square, white utilizes this particular moment to play knight e5. And now, black cannot play knight d7 because knight c6 will be the continuation to be adopted by white. So we do not want to do that. Bishop b7, and here f4. We have seen this idea with f4 from somebody else. I wonder if you remember. I was showing this d4 d5 system that Pillsbury invented, his Pillsbury attack with f4, but that was in d4 d5. We're looking at the Scandinavian here. So this plan might have been definitely a new addition to say something similar to what Pillsbury came up with, but this is William Steinitz playing it, just getting ready for some attack on the king side. I really like this f4 idea. We use it in Sicilian as well, and this rook from f1 normally comes rook f3, g3, or h3 sometimes. Those are really nice attacking games. We'll see if it happened in this game as well or not. Black cannot stay too long with this knight in e5, so he has, now that the bishop has been developed in b7 and is controlling the c6 square, it is time for black to finish their development, so knight bd7, try to chase this knight away. Queen e2, we also have to finish the development, and we are done. All we have to do now is find some good places for the rooks and get ready for the attack. And here, Steinitz's opponent, Mongredien, Augustus, played knight d5, which is somewhat strange, I would say. it allows this trade, and now the bishop in b7 is blocked by its own pawn. So we don't normally want to play this kind of moves. It is typical to put the knight in d5 when the d4 pawn is an isolated pawn, but in this case it is not an isolated pawn yet. So black's normal idea is to get ready to play c5. When you are playing positions where you don't have any pawn in the center, you shouldn't wait too long before you counterattack that center. And it is c5 and d5 that you normally have to play, and here, since c5 is impossible, it's definitely c5, the move that has to be prepared and played. In this position, it would have been possible to play it just right now. And for example, if white would bring the rook on the d file, well, we can simply take. And now we've got some space c5 for possible some trade. In this position, we can use the move queen c8 that we saw in Capablanca's game. Queen c8 to play bishop a6, in this case with the bishop in d3. That won't do very much, but queen c8 is a nice place for the queen, not exposed, getting ready to play rook d8, trade some more pieces, and have a decent equal position. So knight d5 was a slight mistake by Augustus. Knight takes d5, pawn takes d5. Like I said, the bishop is closed, and we as white can focus on the king side, because now this knight from f6 has been traded, so there's no protection on h7 for the moment. You would think that knight takes d7 would be a possibility for white to trade this knight, that not allow it to come to f6, but just think about it. You don't want to give this amazing knight in e5 so strong for this knight in d7 that only moved once. It's passive, and you also help black develop a piece. So not this move. Do not think of playing that move. This knight in e5 is super strong. We keep it there. Let black capture if he wants. Then we'll take with the f pawn and open up the f file, open up the bishop as well, and just continue the attack. In this position, Steinitz went for rook f3. I like this move a lot. As I told you earlier, before we couldn't do it, right? With the pawn in e6, the bishop was open, so white would have lost an exchange, but this way the rook coming is just brings it to h3 to attack. f5 was black's response, and actually a mistake. I mean, you want to defend, but f5 is too much. It's a weakness. It's just simply a weakening of that diagonal. It's not really bringing any piece to defend. And now after f5, you will have trouble playing knight f6 because your pawn on f5 will be hanging. So this was definitely a big mistake by Augustus Mongredien, or Mongredien. I am not 100% sure how the name is being pronounced, and I apologize to him in advance for that. So knight f6 probably was a more typical move and more natural to bring a piece towards the defense of the pawn. And now with this pawn in f4, we can always think of possibilities of playing knight to e4, because this is an outpost now for black. And if rook h3, bring a piece to attack, we can, like I said, play knight e4 possibly, or maybe queen d6. One of the two would keep the position quite solid for black. After f5, of course, Steinitz continued rook h3. I'm preparing to bring my queen to h5 and mate in h7. g6, what to do? We cannot allow the queen to come to h5. And obviously a move like queen e8 wouldn't help much, because, for example, here white can simply play g4 and bring the queen in g4 or in g2, simply ready for the attack. And in this position, I don't really see a good way for black to defend. I mean, I'm threatening f5. You can't take, because I'll take in h7 and mates. So definitely queen e8 wouldn't have helped. So g6 is the only chance for black to survive in this position. But don't worry, we still play the same move, g4. One of my favorite moves to play to open up the position. F takes g4. Maybe knight takes e5 was a better choice for black, because you're trading an active piece of white's, and then you can think of this diagonal, so you can bring the bishop to c8 to defend f5. That is something that you couldn't have done with the knight on the board. So this was definitely takes. Now bishop c8. White could still continue the attack, possibly by playing g5. Although it looks like closing the position, we're closing it just because we don't want that bishop to come into play. We still have the h-file. We can move the rook and prepare some h4, h5, open up the h-file whenever we're ready to checkmate. And, you know, white still has a slight edge, but it was definitely a good defense choice by black. Instead, f takes g4 was played, and here William Steinitz captured in h7. Very beautiful move. You would think queen takes g4 is the natural move, and this is probably what I would have played. I don't think I would have gone that directly for attack. I like to have all of my pieces ready before I start the attack, and bringing the queen is definitely necessary in this position. Coming to have a threat in e6, some sacrifices in g6, why not in h7 as well? Black doesn't really seem to have defenses in this position. If he takes the knight, with which pawn do we take back? Of course, with the d pawn. You can take with the d pawn, and then we'll have f5 idea. If you play bishop c8, we can play, for example, e6 here. No need to worry. You're just closing up the diagonal, and then f5 is the next move for white with big chances to attack. So queen takes g4 was the natural way to go, but Steinitz was much more into beauty, I think. So he played rook takes h7. Very beautiful, a very beautiful sacrifice, destroying black's protection on the king side. Now, knight takes e5 was played. In case black would have captured in h7, of course, now we go queen takes g4, and g6 is being a problem. And if knight takes e5, simply f takes e5. Now again, g6 is being a problem. I'm sorry, why did it go to f? I apologize. I don't know why it went d. F takes e5, and now we need the bishop opened. We can't play without that bishop. Now queen e8, and in this position, this beautiful check. You can't take. You have to go king g7. Another check. You go king g8. Bishop takes. Mate is a big threat in this position. And if you play rook f7, well, I can just go king h1. And then this rook is going to come to g1, threatening mates, and white is simply winning. So king h7 was not possible. That's why Mongredien has decided to capture the knight and try to make some trades. F takes e5. Now king takes h7. What to do? What else can we do? The position is very bad for black's king. Has been totally... in Romania, we have an expression naked. Now, I don't know if it's alright to use it in a video. Hopefully it is. But it's like he has no pieces to defend him. So simply has to try to gain more material. At least maybe white won't have sufficient material to finish the game. But after king takes h7, queen takes g4 was played by William Steinitz, threatening a big mate in g6. Rook g8 was played, but for example, if black had played queen to e8, we simply do the same thing as before. King g7, check, bishop takes, and king h1. So there aren't that many defenses for black in this position to defend g6. You maybe have rook f5, but we can simply take the rook. I mean, it's just a rook, and the other rook is coming. This king is going to be mated. So king g8 was rook g8 was played, and now check, one more check, queen h6 check, king f7. We continue with the checks. King to e6. What do we do now? Queen h3 check. We cannot allow that king to escape to d7 and get out and not be mated anymore. King f7. Now it's time to bring another piece to attack, because we can't just mate with one queen alone. We bring the rook to f1 check. In fact, it seems that e6 was finishing the game much faster, but I really like William's choice for finishing this game. Rook f1 check. Now queen e6, it just feels very natural, bringing the queen threatening mate, rook to g7, what to do, because otherwise I'll take in g6. But now, bishop g5, queen d7 was played, after which check, queen takes, rook f8, and mate. I hope you like this. Stay tuned for more. Bye.